Hey everyone, Mike here. I'm hoping this is not going to be too long of a video. I'll make it as short as possible. It's just how to make perfect articulated shanks. And what you do is you start out with, okay, let me kind of back up a little bit. When I make the shanks, if I'm going to make a fly larger than 5 inches, I will use a 1/16 inch welding rod, just like this one right here. And what I do is I use these things here. They're called a one-step looper. And this one here, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it or not, but it's kind of wore out. I've used this for probably about 4 or 5 years now. It's a 3mm. The 3mm is what you're going to want to use to bend the 1/16 inch wire. If you try to use, they do have them all the way down to a 1.5mm, and there's a place for this one, and I'll explain that here in a second. This 1/16 inch wire, if you tried to use the 1.5mm looper, and I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see this or not, but there's a little stud right here that sticks up that the looper bends the wire around right there, just like that. And if you try to use the larger wire, well, the wire is darn near the size of that stud, and I broke a few pair of these before I decided, okay, enough of that. I'm going to stop doing the 1.5 and just use the 3 whenever I go to anything that is larger than this right here. And this is an 030. This is an 030 welding wire. It comes on a spool. This one here comes in sticks. It's cut sticks. It's also a welding wire, and it's 1/16 inch in diameter. All right. So what the great thing about this system is, and I did a video, I think 3, maybe, I don't think 4 years ago, but it's been at least 3 years ago. Although I'd been using them longer, I was kind of excited about how easy these one-step loopers are. Now I start out with this piece here. It's 2 inches long. This is a 2-inch long raw shank that will get bent down to this 1-inch articulated shank with nicely formed loops on each side of it. Okay, so to get those loops on each side, again, you're going to need your one-step looper tool, just like this right here, and I use a pair of just a pair of needle nose pliers with no serrations or anything like that inside there, any gripping properties, or just flat needle nose pliers. So here's the way it works. I cut this off here because the one-step looper is just exactly that. This is a jewelry making tool, and if you had this in here, you stick it all the way in. What happens is when you squeeze this and it comes around, it actually automatically cuts the wire and forms a loop to where the loop is not does not have this tag right here. Okay, the tag is is cut off, and it just makes a loop, and that's why it's a one-step looper. It's just it cuts and forms all in one squeeze. All right, so I cut it off because I don't want to cut this tag here. All right, and I also cut it off because I can use this tool now as a gauge to be able to make sure that I can make these 1-inch shanks perfect every single time. So what I do is I put it in and bring it up to just touch the tool on the inside here, right there, right in that area right there. Bring it in, touch, and then squeeze just a little bit. And then I'll take my pliers to make sure, if I don't use pliers, this thing goes wonky on you and they go out of alignment. But if you take your pliers and grab it like this, now watch this thing, it's just absolutely amazing. You squeeze, and in one step, you've got yourself a tagged end loop that you can tie your thread on. And then all you need to do is just flip it around and do the same thing, match it up right there. Because bringing it to right here, it takes this was a 2-inch shank when we started. All right, it was 2 inches, and by measuring the bend after I did this, I reverse engineered it. I would, you know, make the bend and then figure out how long of a piece that I used to get it to the 1 inch. Anyway, you squeeze again, use your pliers, grab it to keep it in line, squeeze, and there you go. Perfect articulated shank right there. And the only tools you need, should have, are a pair of side cutters, the 1-step looper, and a pair of flat nose pliers. It could be like these, or it could be like these. It doesn't have to be needle nose. It could be just flat nose like these right here. Let's see. That is a flat nose, and these are a needle nose. Either one works fine. And what happens, what you also need to do, if you've ever made your own shanks, when you cut the wire, it leaves this really sharp point on it. And when you go to, and then when you bend the when you bend your wire around to make the loop, and you go to tie it on, that sharp edge, if it catches your fly thread, it's going to tear. It's going to tear and break, and it gets frustrating. But if you do this, you take that end off, and all you need to simply do is, I use a little Chinese grinder. It's a sanding wheel, and I just place my wire right up against the sanding wheel and kind of give it a little bit of a spin, dip it in some water, and I can turn around and hit the other end. And that is how I am able to get these things perfect every time. And then also, when you go to tie your fly, your thread is not catching on that sharp point and breaking on you. Anyway, this, I think, was pretty short. If you have any questions, you can contact me through the Frugal Fly Rodder Facebook page. Love to see you join us over on the Frugal Fly Rodder group, or you can check out my website at thefrugalflyrodder.com, and I will have links to the tools that you need, including the 030 wire and the 1/16 inch wire, if you decide you want to do something like this. Anyway, this is Mike. Until the next video, we'll catch you later.